Okay, welcome to Lemoore City Council Chambers, 429 C Street, September 21st, 2021. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy of those in attendance. Thank you. 6:30 PM closed session. These items have been set aside for the city council to meet in closed session to discuss matters pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9B4. The city attorney will provide an oral report regarding the closed session at the beginning of the next regular city council meeting. 1, conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Case 54956.6, agency designated representatives, Mary Lerner, city attorney, and Michelle Spear, assistant city manager, employee organizations, General Association of Service Employees, Lemoore Police Officers Association, Lemoore Police Sergeants Unit, Police Professionals Service Bargaining Unit, unrepresented, and city manager. 2, Government Code Section 54956.9, conference with legal counsel, exposure to litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 or 3 of subdivision D of section 54956.9, 2 cases. Number 3, Government Code Section 54956.9, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of section 54956.9, 2 cases. 4, liability claim, Government Code Section 54956.95, claimant Miss Paulette Jones, agency claimed against the city of Lemoore. And number 5, liability claim, Government Code Section 54956.95, claimant claimant Miss Valerie Charleston, agency claimed against the city of Lemoore. In the event that all the items on the closed session have not been deliberated in the time provided, the city council may continue the closed session at the end of the regular scheduled city council meeting. So with that, we are in closed session. Okay, welcome to Lemoore City Council Chambers, 429 C Street, September 21st, 2021. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy of those in attendance. Thank you. So this is the 7:30 regular session. We're going to go ahead and stand for invocation. And after invocation is done, please stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's go to the Lord. Dear Lord, we come before you tonight and we just seek you. We thank you for an opportunity to meet and just pray for the leadership of our city and pray that you would give them wisdom as to just seek you through the decisions that need to be made. We just pray again for discernment as there are a lot of different decisions that need to be made in order to just fulfill what you have in store for the wonderful city of Lemoore. Pray that you would just guide them and direct their path. And just also lift up our community as a whole as they're going through more and more difficulty with things. We pray for health for them. We pray for our officers. We pray for our firefighters and our first responders that you would just continue to use them and guard them and just protect them as they're doing service for you. And again, as we come before you tonight, we seek you and we trust that you will guide and direct everything. And we give you the glory in advance for the great work you're going to do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And sorry, I apologize about our last meeting. I let you down, but I'm sorry.
You're okay. You owe me like a fireman's steak dinner or something.
Okay, I think I can arrange that. Thank you. Okay, so roll call.
Councilmember Orth,
Here.
Councilmember Gornick,
Here.
Councilmember Cheney,
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Matthews, here, Mayor Lyons.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Closed session report.
So we haven't finished closed session yet, so there's no report, but we'll be going back in at the conclusion of the regular meeting.
Agenda approval, additions and or deletions. Seeing none. Public comment. Public comment will be in accordance with the attached policy. This time is reserved for members of the audience to address the the city council on items of interest that are not on the agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. It is recommended that the speaker limit their comments to 3 minutes each, and it is requested that no comments be made during this period on items on the agenda. The council is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Prior to addressing the council, any handouts for council will be provided to the city clerk for distribution to the council and appropriate staff. Do I have any public comments? Yes, sir. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Dave Brown, 89 Devon Drive, City of Lemoore.
Mr. Brown, how are you doing?
Doing outstanding. It's doing outstanding. I just want to thank everybody for what you're doing for our city. I'm here on behalf of the American Legion Post 100. Just want to give you council, Mayor Pro Tem, and the council a quick brief what's happening this Sunday. The American Legion Post 100 in the city of Lemoore is what we're doing is together. We're having what's called a Gold Star and Fallen Hero Family Memorial Tree Ceremony. It's going to be at the Veterans Park at 2:00 in the afternoon on Sunday, which Sunday is Gold Star Family and Fallen Hero Memorial Day. So what we're going to have is basically the memorial recognizes all Gold Star and Fallen Hero families and the legacy of their loved ones who have paid the ultimate sacrifice while serving in the military, law enforcement, as firefighters and other first responders. So it covers everybody. A Gold Star and Fallen Hero family are the family members of those heroes who have died while serving our communities. May we always remember that our fallen heroes do not serve on their own. Each has a loved ones who are left behind to carry on their legacy. So once again, and I'm reading from the program. So the Lemoore American Legion Post 100 in the city of Lemoore express their eternal gratitude to all Gold Star and Fallen Hero families. I'm just going to brief the agenda. Joe Neves is going to be doing the welcome and introductions. Lemoore High School RLTC is going to be presentation of colors. National anthem is going to be sang by Linda Bach. Invocation is going to be done by Pastor Robert Flores, retired Marine. He's also a police chaplain. We have guest speakers and the military. We had Captain Peterson, but he won't be able to make it. So Commander Fisher, which is the XO of the base, he will be coming out. And he's going to be representing all branches of military. And then we have, for law enforcement, we have our own Chief Michael Kendall. He's going to be representing all law enforcement, no matter what branch. And then we have our fire department and first responders is going to be represented by Chief Bruce German, Lemoore Volunteer Fire Department. And each one of those will have a few minutes to speak. And then the Central Valley Gold Star Families of California, Jess Hamunda, I mess up his name, but he's going to be there representing those, and he's going to speak. And then after that, any Gold Star or Fallen Hero family that wishes to speak, because it's for them. It's for them. We're going to have, we have a marker already over there. We got a tree planted, and then we're going to go through all of that, some symbolic planting of the tree, tribute of the tree and placing of the wreath. We have a wreath, we're going to use that to help identify the tree. And then we're going to have the closing prayer. Pastor Robert Flores is also going to do that. And then we have taps. It's going to be played live by Rob Bentley. And then we'll post colors or correction, we'll retire the colors. But 2:00 over there at the Veterans Park on the south side, right to where all the flags are. Can't miss it. Please come. Anybody out there that's in TV land, please come on over. We have about 10 Gold Star Fallen Hero families right now that's scheduled to come and possibly speak. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. Other than that, that's all I have. Oh, once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank this council. You guys are doing a great job. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay. I'm very proud to live in the city of Lemoore. So and city manager doing a great job. I mean, got a good bunch of people here. Got a good town. Love it. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Almost didn't recognize you with that mustache.
I know. Yeah, the glue keeps wanting to fall off.
Any other public comment?
Yes, I do have Jennifer Solis on Zoom.
Can you get closer?
Jennifer, are you there?
Sorry, I didn't think I could unmute myself. I am here. Jennifer Solis, 757 Redwood Lane. Thank you so much for having Zoom. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I love that I can see you and you can't see me. So I just wanted to thank you once again. I know we're, dealing with awesome water coming to our house. A recent comment was from a Lemoore resident that said, I'm at my mom's. The tap water tastes really good. Thank you, somebody. And I know there's still a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and I appreciate you guys doing that. And I know we don't, see the day to day, so I appreciate you guys getting that done. I was really excited that Mr. Brown talked about that event. So the other event happening this weekend, Saturday, September 25th, is the Legends of Lemoore Cemetery Walk. Tickets are $20, and it's from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at Lemoore Cemetery this Saturday. You can pick up tickets at Ramblin' Rose or the Greater Kings County Chamber. And then we also have the Carnegie Museum in Kings County is doing a history of Lemoore Naval Air Station. And so they're going to be doing it every weekend, September 25th through October 24th. And so it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And for anybody that doesn't know the address, the Carnegie Museum of Kings County is located in Hanford on 109 East 8th Street. And then lastly, I wanted to remind everybody the golf course is back open. And it's very exciting. We know, I know people have talked about prices have changed, which they needed to, as we know, there was a large, it was like $775,000 in debt. And so I did for a few members online, because you guys know I'm always on nextdoor.com. For a few members online asking kind of comparison of prices of different golf courses, whether Visalia or Genuba. And I just wanted to remind anybody that's kind of looking or comparing, I definitely crunched the numbers, on there for you. And for example, if you're a family going, like twice a week to get the cart and the range balls, there is a family discount at Lemoore. It is cheaper, than going out of town. And just kind of keep in mind gas mileage too, fog's coming up. So please support Lemoore Golf Course. Thank you so much for your time, council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Elise. You got another one?
Yes. So I received a public comment from Benjamin Kahina from the Greater Kings County Chamber of Commerce. And it reads, introduction/community events. While I am unable to be with each of you this evening, I wanted to take the time to introduce myself and speak briefly on some community activities. Some of you may already know me, and my name is Benjamin, and I am the CEO of the Greater Kings County Chamber of Commerce. It is a pleasure to be working within the community of Lemoore and alongside each of you. Our chamber members rely heavily on you all, and the opportunity to work on some of the most beloved Lemoore community functions is an honor. Without your hard work, our community would not be what it is today. Thank you. Recently, our organization made the very difficult decision to postpone our Public Safety Appreciation Luncheon. It is tradition that our organization awards and recognizes 18 stellar departments/service agencies within Kings County. For various reasons, staff training, internal recognition, COVID safety concerns, etc., provided by 13 of these departments, they have decided to withdraw from the function. Only 5 departments have provided us information regarding an honoree to which the GKC Chamber has every intention of recognizing at a later date to be determined. To our community members, partners / members, please know that we too are disappointed that we are unable to facilitate this distinguished function as we take great pride in celebrating the accomplishments of our first responders and look forward to providing a more robust function fall of 2022. In light of this sad news, we are happy to share that the GKC Chamber will be facilitating our greatly anticipated Rocking the Arbor, October 1st, 8th, 15th, and 22nd, with a great lineup of entertainment and vendors. Following in the month of November, we are excited to announce our holiday stroll and participate in partnership with Lemoore Downtown Merchants. A huge shout out to Sheila Taylor of Lemoore Parks and Rec Department. This partnership will continue in the form of our Lemoore Christmas Parade. Information to be determined. I again thank each of you for your commitment to the community of Lemoore and look forward to our continued partnership. Kind regards, Benjamin Kahina, President and CEO of the GKC Chamber of Commerce.
How does he spell his last name?
Kahikina.
Okay.
Here you go, look at
Yeah, thank you. Wow, that is, all right, okay. So no more public comment? Going once, going twice? Okay, on to the next. Ceremonial presentations and seeing none, correct? We'll go to the department and city manager reports.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So we'll start off tonight with Frank Rivera, Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I just want to update you on a couple of road maintenance projects that we have going on this fall. We just received final bids on it's a slurry sill project, which is going to be concentrated on the north side of town, about 5 miles of road. We will hopefully be starting within a couple of weeks and probably end in 2 weeks. So you will be seeing some activity on the north side of town. We do have some extra money. We're going to try to add as much extra roads as we can to get close to our budget. But that is our 2021 street overlay street projects. The other one is an SB1 project. We're going to try to break that into 2 phases. We have Far Allen Lane, which we have some flooding that occurs. So we're going to add a DI in that cul-de-sac, and also re-overlay the road, which is dilapidated due to the poor drainage. The other one is a cul-de-sac, Laurel Court. We have a valley gutter that's deteriorated and has some rebar that was coming through the concrete. So we're going to replace a valley gutter and overlay that particular cul-de-sac. So we're trying to get those done before the weather gets cold. So we're crossing our fingers that we can go out to bid and beat the cold weather. And then we'll finish up the SB1 project first of the year when the weather gets above 55 and rising. So just want to update you on. Yes, sir.
Frank, how about 19th and Bush?
So 19th and Bush is another project which is going to happen early next year. That project will also go to bid before winter, but the plan is to start that in spring when we have better weather. But yeah, we will be doing 19th and Bush from Bush from 19th to 19th and a half. We have a sewer repair project that we're going to have to take care of right at the intersection. So you notice that area is kind of unraveled.
It's kind of like a default roundabout. Everybody kind of.
Yeah. So with this project, once they get in there and repair the sewer line, which is about probably 14 feet down,
Okay.
we're going to have them take out that unraveled area of asphalt and at least get that through the winter. And then next year, early spring, we'll re-overlay the entire stretch of road.
Okay.
And the SB1, the second half of the SB1 project is Hamper-Ramona Road from Highway 41 down to about, not quite Fox, but you can tell there's some unraveling going in that eastbound lane. We're going to take it down to the base rock, find out what's going on in the base rock area, recompact that, and then patch that and then slurry seal the entire road. So
What about the overpass on the new 19th Avenue going over 198? Whose responsibility is to
the overpass,
repair those?
the overpass structure is normally Caltrans.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Well, Frank, hurry up and get done with those things so the heat can go away and we can get into winter.
All right. Next up is Chief Mike Kendall.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I had a few updates, but Mr. Brown took one of them off my plate. And then Ben took another one off my plate, but we'll go ahead and roll with it. So it is my honor to announce that Officer Brandon Gresham has been selected as our 2021 Officer of the Year. He would have been recognized at the Public Safety Luncheon, but that's since been postponed. But that's okay. He'll still be recognized. We're going to bring him before council at some point here in the near future. American Legion Post 100 will present him with a plaque on their behalf. We hired 2 new reserve officers. They were sworn in last Tuesday, Alec Contreras and David Ortiz. They finished up their in-dock phase this week and have started phase 1 of their field training. So about 6 months, they'll be out on their own. And then again, just to kind of piggyback on Mr. Brown, I think this is going to be a real good event for the Gold Star families. It sounds like we're gonna have a couple hundred people out there. I'm kind of looking forward to it. Hope to see you guys there. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Michelle Spear.
I've been waiting for my turn, but he always calls me last. Okay, so a couple of things. We have seen a pretty significant uptick in our COVID cases, either people testing positive or individuals that are out due to close contacts. We've also had several vaccinated individuals who have tested positive, for those of you who are interested. We have currently 5 people in the organization out for COVID, and 7 of them came back today. So yesterday we had 12 out. We've begun implementation meetings for our new software. So we've started those kickoff meetings with our internal teams. The next couple months, well, the next couple of years are going to be really busy, but the next couple months are going to be incredibly busy for our finance team, because that's when we're going to start implementing the general ledger and the chart of accounts, and all the nuts and bolts of our finance process goes first. So your finance team is going to be super busy. We are currently in the process of our annual fiscal year 2021 audit. So our auditors are already starting to work through some of our documentation. They will be on site in November to do their on-site testing, and we're hoping to have the audit before council prior to December 31st this year. So cross your fingers, wish us luck. And then we begun the open enrollment process, which is the process by which all of your full-time employees elect benefits for the next coming calendar year. So we have started that process. That closes October 15th. Luckily, our rates did not increase a whole heck of a lot. So our membership is pretty happy. And we've already probably worked through about 30 to 40% of the membership in just the last couple of days. Yes.
Could you go back to your IT schedule for your implementation, your finance? That's the first module you're going to work with?
First module. Mhm.
Okay. What's your estimated time frame in terms of beginning to end?
For the whole thing?
Well, how many phases do you have?
We have approximately 4 to 5 different phases. Complete implementation is going to take us into like fiscal year 24. But our finance module, so the nuts and bolts, our general ledger, 9 to 12 months.
Okay. And you'll be able to work with that?
Yes.
Those changes in the module?
Yes, and we've been keeping them posted on all of our staffing issues. So one of the issues we're going to have is that we're going to be implementing the finance module and the human resources module, which is payroll, at some point simultaneously. And that is basically the same implementation team. And so they're staggering the implementation to make sure that those of us that are participating can still do our day jobs. So it's going to take a little while, but we'll get it done.
Okay. Are you going to be able to do some show and tell for us? In terms of
I don't know. I'll ask that question. I don't know. Right now, I don't know how to do anything. I don't even know how to click a button.
Good.
But maybe at some point.
Okay.
And then lastly, on November 10th, council, mark your calendars. We are going to do an employee appreciation breakfast. Executive staff is going to cook breakfast for all of our staff members, and we're asking council and our city attorney because she loves us. If you guys want to come to the recreation center and cook breakfast with us that morning and serve our employees, we would love to have you. And our employees don't know about it yet, so this is the first time they're hearing about it. So
November
November
10th.
10th, and I'll keep you posted on the time.
We're thinking early morning though, right? 6:30ish?
Yeah.
No, probably not, because most of our employees don't start. Well, maybe. I don't know. Let's think about it, because we have a lot of 7 a.m. staff members. So yeah, I'll probably work. Thank you for putting me on the spot. I don't know. November 10th. Okay.
Thanks, Michelle. Hey, good evening again, Mayor and council members. I just have a couple things. One, Lieutenant Santos traveled over the past few days. As you know, last year, Lemoore was the recipient of the End of Watch motorcycle. So the End of Watch group invited Lieutenant Santos up to help judge this year's winner. So he just returned from that and they did pick a new winner. But he represented well. He had a good time. So I want to thank him for that. And then again, if you're available to go out Sunday at 2, that was on my list too, but Dave already took that one. So thank you.
Okay, so let's see, where were we? Consent calendar. Items considered routine in nature are placed on the consent calendar. They will be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a council member or a member of the public requests individual consideration. 3-1, approval of minutes, special meeting, August 17th, 2021. 3-2, approval of minutes, regular meeting, August 17th, 2021. 3-3, approval of the second reading ordinance 2021-05, authorizing an amendment to the contract between the city of Lemoore and the Board of Administration of the California Public Employees Retirement System. 3-4, approval of the budget amendment 2020 police motorcycle upfit. 3-5, approval of the budget amendment and purchase of bioengineer from Probiotic Solutions. 3-6, approval, denial of claim for Miss Valerie Charleston. 3-7, approval budget amendment, the Homeland Security Grant Police Radios. 3-8, approval revisions of Schedule 4 position allocation of the City of Lemoore fiscal year 2022 annual budget. 3-9, approval, denial of claim for Miss Paula Jones. So would anybody on council like to pull any of the items on consent? Seeing none, would anyone from the public like to pull any of the items off the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none. I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar as read.
Move for the approval of items 3.1 through 3.9.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Gornick and Mr. Orth. So, Mr. Gornick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Orth,
Aye.
Mr. Cheney,
Aye.
and Ms. Matthews.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Consent calendar passes. On to public hearing section 4, since there is none, we will go on to new business section 5. 5-1, report and recommendation. Recommended city positions for the 2021 League of Cities annual conference resolutions. Mr. Olson.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So at previous council meetings, Councilmember Orth has been designated as the city's delegate for the League of California Cities meeting that takes place starting tomorrow and runs through Friday up in Sacramento. So myself, council members Orth and Matthews will be traveling for the next few days. But part of that is the resolutions that are coming before the League of California Cities to put forth for the city or for the state to look into. But the first one is resolution of the League of California Cities calling for the state legislature to pass legislation that provides for a fair and equitable distribution of the Bradley Burns 1% local sales tax from in-state online purchases based on data where products are shipped to, and that rightfully takes into consideration the impacts that fulfillment centers have on host cities, but also provides a fair share to California cities that do not and or cannot have the fulfillment centers within their jurisdiction. So basically, right now, a percentage of all online sales will go to a county pool, and we do see a little bit of that money. But what the league's going to attempt to do in this resolution is get that 1% sales tax to be paid to the jurisdiction where the goods are delivered. That's what they're trying to attempt to, because we saw kind of during the pandemic when everything was shut down, we saw the impact that online shopping had for Lemoore as far as people weren't able to travel to go shop, so they were buying more online, and that went to the county pools, and it increased the city's percentage of revenues based on that. So this one here is something we've been working on for a couple of years. I mean, you see nonstop 5-6 times a day, I've got UPS, FedEx trucks up and down the block. So all these deliveries coming in from out of state, out of city have their toll on our roads and roadways. And this is a way that they're trying to give money back to the end user, so to speak, kind of put some parity on things. So city staff is recommending a vote in support of this resolution, and it'll definitely, it'll impact all city departments, but it'll definitely have an impact on the revenues to the general fund. The second item up for resolution is a resolution calling upon the governor and the legislature to provide necessary funding for the CUPC to fulfill its obligation to inspect railroad lines and ensure that operators are removing illegal dumping, graffiti, and homeless encampments that degrade the quality of life and results in increased public safety concerns for communities and neighborhoods that abut the railroad right of way. So we see it here. We have the rail that runs through. PD does a good job keeping, the transit populations moving in and out, but this really puts some teeth to try to get the rail to kind of take care of their properties. I'm sure you're well aware over the last several years, we typically will bring an abatement to this council for us to go out and remove weeds and clean up areas. Well, the railroad's usually on that list. The unfortunate thing is everybody else that we abate, we actually lien their property. We can't lien the railroad. So this is hopefully a step to get them to be, more community friendly to clean up the track. So again, we are voting a vote in support of this resolution. Yes, sir.
While you're up there, I'm sure, or at least I hope there'll be some discussion on SB 8, 9, and 10. And maybe you can come back with some ideas about how that's going to affect us in terms of our housing and zoning and things of that nature.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a hot issue button right now. So
Yeah.
Yes.
So on this though, what we're looking for right now is council has can vote to support both these resolutions or deny them. Do we want to take this as one or two separate items in case they would like to do varying votes on the two resolutions?
I think that's going to be up to council. I've had other councils consider, everybody going to the league, each agency has to consider these resolutions and then direct their authorized voting member on how to vote. So really, I think it's going to be driven by council's discussion. If you're inclined to have Councilmember Orth vote yes on both, you can just take it as one motion, giving him that directive.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Put them both together.
Okay,
Vote
and
together
you may
and-
want to, if we could open it up to the public first in case they have any
Oh,
comments
my
on these
apologies.
resolutions. No, that's okay.
That's fine.
And then we can do that.
So is there any discussion by council?
Well, our position is to support these resolutions, right?
Yes,
Yes.
staff is recommending we support these resolutions.
Right. Makes sense.
And keep them together. Do one vote for both of them.
You
Yeah,
can,
that's entirely up to council at their discretion at this point, but we're recommending support of both resolutions.
So is there any discussion on council? Does you guys have anything to weigh in or say, or?
Nope.
Nope. So, okay, let's go ahead and open to the public. Ooh, there we go. Let's open to public. No discussion? Oh, we'll bring it back to council now. Okay.
Now
So,
I'll make the
now we can
motion
make a motion.
to,
I second.
for a yes vote on both. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit to get out
Okay.
there.
Motion-
I'm sure I didn't word that right, but
Yeah, we know what you meant. So motion by Mrs. Matthews, second by Mr. Gornick. So Ms. Matthews, how do you vote?
yes.
Mr. Gornick,
Aye.
Mr. Orth,
Aye.
Mr. Cheney. I vote aye as well. So your motion, however it was, passes.
My apologies.
Okay, 5-2, report and recommendation, resolution 2021-20, cost allocation plan for fiscal year 2020, 2021. Mrs. Spear.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So this particular plan is for last fiscal year. So right now, we're still in what we consider our year-end closing process for fiscal year 21 that stopped June 30th. And one of the very last things that we do is we do what's considered a cost allocation plan. And very simply put, it is how the general fund charges the enterprise funds for services rendered. So there are numerous departments in the city, so city manager, finance, human resources, et cetera, that exist, well, not purely for the city manager's sake, but we exist for the purpose of providing services to other city departments. And so what happens is this plan allows the staff and our financial consultant to have a council approved plan for how to charge those departments for those services. And it's not super cut and dry. It's not like we say, okay, the water fund, you owe us $75,000 for the year. What happens is we take metrics. So how much time we think that it takes us as service providing departments to provide the service to enterprise funds and also to other general fund departments. So we account for that as well. The time it takes us to perform these services and based on what unit of measure. So for instance, the city clerk's primary function is to prepare the agendas. That requires reading all the agenda items, putting the packet together, posting it on the website. So when you look at the plan, the city clerk's allocation is based on the percent of the time it takes her to do those functions. So at the end of the fiscal year, we determine what the actual operating overall expenditures were for all departments. And then we use the metrics that are defined in this plan to determine how much each of the enterprise accounts owes the general fund. I'm speaking very general because I can't give you specific numbers because we haven't done it yet. That's what this plan is for. So I'm going to walk you through just one quick example, and I'll go ahead and use the city clerk. So if you have it in front of you, it's page 8 of the document. The allocation method for the city clerk department is as follows. 70% of the clerk's budget, overall budget, is allocated based on the proportionate share of the number of agenda items. So we physically go through and tally how many agenda items happened. We place them into each individual department category, and then departments are charged 70% of whatever the cost of the city clerk's budget is for that year is allocated based on the number of agenda items.
Okay, I got a question.
Yeah.
Let me think about what I want to say here. Oh, so you're gonna use Marissa there.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So what you're telling me is that you're spending time identifying the number of items on an agenda
Yes.
that she has to prepare for a meeting, right? She has to read them. She has to post them to,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, does she have a budget at the beginning of the year?
Yes, but the budget at the end of the year is very rarely identical.
No.
Yes.
What I'm trying to get at is we have the cart before the horse here. So in other words, there's obviously a salary for the clerk.
Correct.
Okay, is that in her budget or is that in the general fund budget?
The clerk's budget is a general fund budget.
Okay.
The clerk's,
It's not in the city manager's budget.
it is. Half of her lives in clerk and half of her lives in city manager.
Why?
Because she spends some of her time because her position is not just the clerk. She's also the executive secretary to the city manager.
Right. Okay, but I still say why? I mean, if it's in her job description that she has both of those functions, why are you splitting that? Why are you?
Because the city manager's department is allocated different than the city clerk's budget when it comes to cost allocation.
Okay, so here's my second item. So this IT program that we're going through, we're spending a significant amount of money for.
Yes.
Are we redoing the same system or are we looking at new ways of doing it? So in other words, why couldn't we allocate a budget amount, okay, for the operations that are needed to run the city manager's job, which includes that, okay? But it sounds to me like now you're going back into the budget again to see if they actually provided services to other departments. But if that's what they're supposed to do anyway,
Because
why are you asking that question?
in order for the enterprise.
One more time,
Oh,
one more thing. So
sorry.
let me understand this. Is this because this is the way the city is set up? Or is this the way cities are supposed to allocate funds from the state?
This is because you can't charge an enterprise fund, which is water, wastewater, refuse, They can't pay general fund expenditures without an approved plan because their budget doesn't come from the general fund. You can charge them for the service that the general fund provides, but you have to have an approved plan to charge them from.
And those
It
funds,
can't be
the revenue coming
subjective.
in- The revenue coming in for the services that the fees that they obtain.
Correct. Their revenue comes from
offsets-
fees.
Offsets the costs for those things, right?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Let's say that the water department brings in $1 million,
Mhm.
okay? And let's say their total costs of operation are 900,000. Okay, so they would have $100,000 in a reserve, or where would that reserve go to if there was such a thing?
It goes to their reserve.
It goes
Each
to
of those funds has their own reserve. So in their budget, for water, wastewater, sewer, you'll notice, and I should have brought it, I apologize, they have a budgeted expenditure for administrative expenditures, which is this process. We estimate the budget like we do for anything else. It's an estimate based on factual data, but it changes based on actual things that happen.
Reasonable.
So we have budgeted for this expense, but in order for it to be legitimate and legal, we have to have a method for calculating what that actual figure is. And I can't remember what it is offhand, but it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $600,000 is what the water fund would owe the general fund for all general fund related services.
Okay, and that's government code, I guess, no? Or is it? Or is that just the way you've always done business?
That's the way it's always been done as far as I know.
Okay, and so my thought is if we're spending all this money in terms of IT, is there a better mousetrap out there? Or is this just something that we've always done? Are we going to be able to re-examine some of that stuff to see if it's a better way of doing it?
I've done research on how other municipalities do it, and they also, the ones that I've researched up and down the state, are also doing it through some sort of cost allocation plan. I'm not saying that there's not a different mechanism. I'm just not
Mhm.
familiar
Okay.
with a different mechanism, if that makes sense.
Good. Thank you.
Sorry, I hope that was clear as mud, but I hope that helped clear that up. And so to kind of piggyback on what Mr. Gornick was saying, we can't charge the enterprise funds for services unless we can prove that there's a tangible cost for those services. So the way that we do that is by evaluating end of the year expenditures for all budget units. That's all departments, including those that are enterprise accounts, and then determining metrics by which we're going to define how much each of those enterprise funds owes the general fund. It's shown in the budget. So right now I'm going to tell you it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.2 million to $1.5 million is what the enterprise funds collectively, so water, wastewater, sewers, and are going to owe the general fund for services for last year. It shows as a revenue in the budget book. It's just not a technical revenue. It's actually a reimbursement. It's a reimbursement for the cost of service. So then we apply the money that's coming to us from the enterprise accounts into each of those general fund buckets to reimburse those departments for their cost of service. So sometimes you'll hear us say when we bring a position to you and we'll say, okay, well, we're going to add a position to the Public Works Department and that position is going to be fully loaded at $160,000. But that's not $160,000 of cost of the general fund because through this process at the end of the year, Public Works is going to get some of that money back from the enterprise funds.
So when an enterprise fund doesn't make its nut,
Yeah.
okay? Like the golf course. Okay. So as a council, we decided to farm it out. Right?
Correct.
So is that what we're talking about in terms of the city? If we get to a point where, are we going to farm out another department that doesn't make its revenue, or what do we do?
So Councilmember Gornick, that is something that, yeah, all the enterprise funds have to be self-supported. That's why we have to do rate studies, rate increases over time to keep them whole. If your enterprise funds fall into the negative, you either have to cut back your expenses, cut back your services to get it in line. Privatization is an option for various things. It just really comes at
Well, I just think it's
what you want to do
important.
or not, but
Yeah, I just think it's important for the city, not only just the council members, but for the city citizens out there to understand how we operate in terms of our budget. And that, and I've had this discussion with a number of people with respect to the golf course in terms of why we're doing it. But when we begin to look at other departments, I guess that's a fair question. You know, do we decide to raise the fees to offset those costs if there's departments that are running in the red?
So to answer your question on context of the cost allocation plan, this is how do I want to say this? This is up to council's discretion. You could decide as a council that you don't want us to do cost allocation. You could say, we're not interested. The budgets are what the budgets are. So you have the authority to say, you know what, we're not interested in doing that. And then that just means we're not charging the enterprise funds for their portion of service. It's a way for the general fund to basically be reimbursed for some of those costs. Now, some cities would probably elect not to do it. Our general fund isn't really in the position to be able to afford to say not to do it.
Right, but my point, I guess, I agree with you. You know, we're not in a position to do it. But at the same time, you know, the definition of insanity is keep doing the same things over and over again, and you're going to try and get a different result. But if we're going to keep ending up in the deficit mode, okay, we got to do something different. You know, we decided to do something different with the golf course. So we got to decide to make some decisions about, you know, what it is we're going to do, whether, you know, and our employees need raises, and I understand all that, but at the same point, we got to.
Currently, the golf course was one of the funds that was bleeding heavily.
Right.
We just did a refuse rate increase that should carry us for several years. First one in, I believe, 12 years or so. In 2016, we had the series of water enterprise. So the water enterprise is self-funding now. Wastewater has a pretty good reserve in it, but we haven't adjusted wastewater rates. And I want to say since 09 maybe was the last time we looked at that. So these are things that, yeah, as a city, we have to look at, and we have to make the ends meet, because if your enterprise funds fall flat and we have to provide the service anyway, it's coming out of the general fund.
That's right.
So yeah, that's something we're very cognizant of. And, you know, I looked at outsourcing refuse when we were on hard times 2 years ago, and just looking at the benefit versus the savings and the work they do, it didn't pan out at that time. So we have looked at stuff like that in the past, but right now the enterprise funds are fairly healthy, and we definitely keep an eye on them, and we'll keep council involved if they start slipping the wrong way.
And I can tell you that these cost allocation plans should be brought to council annually. It hadn't been done in several years. And one of the reasons it's coming to you now is that the old plan was based on an organizational structure that no longer exists. So it was before we had an IT department, and it was before, like, several things have changed since then. So it was no longer relevant. I am going to be putting together another cost allocation plan for fiscal year 22. So that way, when we get in, we're already in the year, but when we get ready to do our year end close, the plan is already adopted by council, because this is literally the last thing that gets done before your financial statements are created. Because this reimbursement from the enterprise accounts affects your general fund and enterprise account financial statements. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. So I understand it seems very muddy, and I don't disagree with you that there could be an opportunity to do things different, and we'll definitely look into that. For the purposes of closing last year, this is the plan we have brought forward. Now, there is an evaluation when we start doing these on whether or not, for lack of a better term, it's going to break the bank. And if it looks like it's going to bankrupt an enterprise account, then we reevaluate the metrics and we say, okay, well, how much time are we really spending? So when you say, do we really count all the agenda items? We really do. And basically the city clerk keeps a running tab throughout the year. And as she's putting the packets together, she's checking a box on how many agendas per department.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is that an effective use of her time? When you already know that you have a certain amount of meetings.
It is when you have to be able to justify the cost to the enterprise accounts. You have to find something tangible.
But you told me you do estimate based upon experience what those are.
I do it based on this data.
Yeah, that's right. But the data is every year. I mean, you have the same amount of meetings every year, just about. Give or
It's
take.
not meetings, it's agenda items in a meeting.
But like for instance, several years ago, we had a lot going on with wastewater, and we were bringing agendas and spending a lot of time as staff and council working on our wastewater discharge to Westlake Farms. So that year, our cost allocation was substantially higher. So if we just did a broad, and we didn't know things were going to come up. You know, when you get a cease and desist not to run wastewater out of the city and you have a 10-day notice to shut off, I mean, it took a lot of stuff to get through that time. And without having a cost allocation plan, the general fund would have ate a majority of those costs when it was actually a reimbursable expense from the enterprise account. So we're really
Gotcha.
trying to protect the general fund, which pays for police, fire, parks and rec. For the most part, that's your
Basic ones.
building
right.
maintenance. That's basically your general fund. So
And
yeah, we watch it.
finance is allocated based on things like number of purchase orders created, a number of checks cut, and those are easy. Those are just queries we run in the software system that tell us that number. It's not like we're spending, infinite numbers of hours hand counting checks. So a lot of the data is generated through our existing software. Agendas aren't. We physically count those, but she's doing those as she's prepping the agenda. So it's not like we're spending hours at the back end of the year going back and recounting data.
Yeah.
But it.
Melissa, you do a great job. These are just questions I'm asking about the budget, so I know what to work with.
So I understand your point. Some of it is
Yeah.
very cumbersome, but it has to be defensible in a court of law, and it has to be defensible to our auditors
Well,
about the
it's
fact that
gotta-
it's not subjective.
And there's got to be an ROI for the expenditure.
There's got to be a what? I'm sorry?
There's got to be a return on investment for the
Oh,
expenditure.
yes.
And my concern is that if there isn't a return on investment for the expenditure, it was not a good expenditure.
And I can see your point. There is a good ROI for the general fund purposes because this is about $1 million to $1.5 million that the general fund is going to be reimbursed for services that if this plan isn't approved, wouldn't otherwise get.
Yeah. But I'm talking about the implementation of the new IT. The new
Oh, yes,
If
I see what you're
there's
saying.
no return on investment in terms of efficiency, in terms of use of what we're doing and how we're doing it, then it was not a good expenditure.
And I can tell you just in the little that I've been through, that will absolutely happen. You might not see it in cost allocation plan, but you're going to see it in 100 other things that we touch during the day.
Good. That's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, so does everybody understand this conceptually? Should we open up to the public and council before I ramble on for hours about this? Because if you get it, I'm just gonna. Oh, I'm not the mayor. Do you want to see if the public has questions?
She would like for you to ask if the public has questions.
Does the public have any questions?
Thank you, Jennifer Solis, 757 Redwood Lane. I don't know that it's a question other than I think I wanted to know what year it started. And that's what I was trying to think about when you guys went to this kind of method. Because before, if I remember when I was researching the budget, it was like Michelle said, it used to be that the IT came out of the general fund, the city clerk, city manager, all that just came out of the general fund. But they are doing things for the water fund, and the water fund, has to be paid for with the fees that, residents pay for. So when it changed to that, I was like, that makes so much sense because then it frees up the general fund to do that. But I believe that was a change. Was it 2016? So I was hoping Michelle could answer that question.
Okay, so a couple points of clarification. For instance, IT and clerk have always been paid out of the general fund. They're general funded departments. They each have their own budgets, but it's general fund money that pays for them. 2016 was my first experience with a plan like this. It was created by the previous finance director, but admin expense was not reported in the budget the way you see it now until I became the finance director. So I think that was 2 budgets ago. My understanding is that the city of Lemoore was always doing some form of cost allocation, but whether or not that plan was formally adopted by council prior to 2016, I do not know. Jennifer, did that answer your question?
Yes, that did. Thank you.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Is there any other public comment?
Mr. Reed has a comment.
Mr. Reed?
Tom Reed, Park Avenue, Lemoore. My question is, how many man hours do you spend on this allocation process? And is this something that the plan will be redone every year? Thank you.
I'm gonna guess that cumulatively, we spend less than 10 hours a year developing the plan. And doing the cost allocation at the end of the year is done basically with our accountant and our finance consultant as part of the year-end process. And it's literally as simple as plugging in numbers into a spreadsheet once they've actually finished the year-end close process. So I would say less than an hour to actually determine the final numbers. And then, yes, we should be updating the plan every year. But once you have the foundation for the plan established, it's really just coming to council and bringing you the plan. So next year's plan, which is actually this fiscal year, will look nearly identical to this with a couple of different changes if there's an organizational change between now and the end of the fiscal year. So it's going to look very similar.
Any other public comment on this? And seeing none, back to council. So does council have any further discussion on this? If not, we're looking for a motion to accept resolution 2021-20.
Motion. to accept.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Orth,
Aye.
Mr. Gornick,
Aye.
Mr. Cheney,
Aye.
Mrs. Matthews.
Aye.
How about I as well?
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, it's going to take us into brief city council reports and requests. And Mr. Orth?
Hello, I am asking for consensus from council to have a city staff planning or strategic goals and objective retreat with the public. Basically what it is, it's a round table. We all get together with the public and we create the city goals, objectives, what we want to do going forward. So
When do you want to do this?
soon as possible. I don't really have we have to look at some calendars, I'm sure. And if you really want me to put a date out there, I will.
No. I was just kind of ballparking, like,
October 1st,
where would you like to do this?
either here or depending on probably how many people here or next door. Depending if we get half the city to show up, then we may have to go next door. But if we have 5 people show up, we could probably do it here.
Okay, well, so we're going to need consensus on, or,
Well, so are you asking to make this a future agenda item to talk about having this, or you just want it put on,
I want to
you
do
want an actual workshop?
workshop.
We could just see some heads nod yes, and if there's consensus without major discussion, then that gives the public an opportunity to participate at the actual workshop.
okay.
Do we have head nods?
I have some questions, like who's going to facilitate this?
The city manager sitting over there is going to help facilitate it. Some of that allocation of money we just talked about, probably Marissa's going to do some of it. And probably Michelle's going to do some of it too.
Yeah, you can put some legs on your idea over there.
And I'll probably have to do some of it
There
too.
you go.
Good.
Okay.
That's good. We're-
I think you got consensus, yes?
Looks like it.
Now, do we have to hold a special meeting?
Oh, I think we have to, don't we have to do some outside person too? Okay, recommend it. I don't know who that would be. A facilitator, I'm assuming? Yeah,
Yes.
a facilitator that helps keep us on track.
Sounds like you have direction, Nathan.
All right.
Thank you, Michelle.
Well, do we want to have the meeting October 1st?
Well,
Do you want to just come up there and talk? I mean,
So council, we'll look at, we'll email out a couple
I think
different,
it's a great idea. I would just like to I would like to have consensus on who, what, when, where, and how. And, you know,
how about we bring it back as an agenda item at our next meeting so we can have an open discussion?
sounds
Fair
like
enough.
a plan.
Thank you.
Do we have consensus though?
yep.
yeah, we.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. Mr. Gornick?
I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'll try to be brief now. I had the opportunity last Sunday to go out to the BMX track and watch the BMX regional event Gold Cup. I want to give a pretty large shout out to People's Farming. They did a whole lot of prep work in scraping their property, giving them access to a water truck to water it down so that the dust was down. They actually painted lines to help them park trailers. And they actually let them borrow, I think, up to 10 lights So at night, they had lights with their trailers, but they had about 100.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're important. They had about 100 trailers, give or take, out there, and they slept. They were, people were in those trailers Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. So there was a lot of people. I went out there Friday night, I think it was, and there's a lot of people out there. So I mean, people did an excellent job. And the BMX people, I went out there Sunday to actually watch them. There was a lot of people out there. And I truly believe the BMX people did a great job, but I think a lot of what they had was because of people's farming. They gave them access to stuff. I do believe they gave them they created a fire hydrant system out there. So if there was a fire in those trailers, they had access to their own water. And this was done in a very, very short period of time. I literally, it was done probably about a week and a half time from talking to one of their people to facilitating this is a week and a half for them to do this. So they stepped up like we all, I think, want our cannabis people to do. They actually stepped up and did something solid for our youth and the BMX stuff. I want to thank all the city staff, police, fire for everything they do. We have a great city, and it's a lot of what they do to make our lives a little bit easier. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gornick.
Just two items. I want to congratulate the operators of the golf course. They said they were going to get it done by September 1. And they were out there, and I heard a lot of good comments about it. A few little complaints about the price and things like that. But, those things happen. But the course really looks nice. A lot of the residents around there have been very complimentary of in terms of what they've done. So wanted to just say that.
Hang on. I'm sorry. And also, there was a complaint out there on Nextdoor about they do not have a senior or a military discount. They do. That's it. The golf course does have a military senior. There was a complaint out there that they weren't taking care of their military. There is one out there, and seniors. Thank you. It's on daily rate, yeah. Yeah, it's on daily rate. Baby steps.
Thank you.
Mr. Cheney.
I just wanted to congratulate Officer Gresham. First I found or heard that he was the Lemoore Police Officer of the Year. And for an award, I would just want to congratulate him on that and wish him the best of luck. And I also want to Mr. Brown gave us a great presentation, and I wouldn't miss that event for the world. So that's all I have.
Oh, Mrs. Matthews.
Brief.
In order to try to stay brief, I will echo everybody's congratulations and thanks. Also, thank you to a lot of you for taking some of the events I had listed off my list as well. So hopefully I'll be brief. I did attend the Brew Fest, which was well attended. Very hot out there, but I'm going way back just because we missed a meeting. But I had never been to one before, so that was interesting. I also volunteered with the KCOA and Lifeway Church with the food distribution. They've had 2 of those since the last meeting. I attended the Salute to Ag dinner and presented certificates on the city's behalf for that. Volunteered with the Ground Zero Project for the 9/11 Memorial Luncheon, which was an awesome event that I was honored to be able to volunteer for. I also attended the West Hills College 9/11 Memorial event. I appreciate them doing that event, and it's the first event that I've participated in where they actually took the time to read off all of the names of those that were fallen. So it was a special event to attend. This last Monday, I volunteered with a couple of Dutch Bros Lemoore employees to help clean up our parks. We picked up trash at the Kings Lions Park and as well as the Lions Park in town. KWRA is still in the process of looking into privatizing operations to potentially save on costs. So still in that process. We'll be going over that report on our October 5th meeting. I also wanted to bring to council, I'm competitive. So if I could get consensus to bring a little friendly competition to council and do like a dog food drive competition that would benefit family, Valley Animal. How do you say it?
Central Valley Animal Haven?
Valley Animal Haven, I think is what it's called. Yeah, sorry.
The one on 17th.
I didn't write the name down. Yes, the one on 17th. Just, they're always in need. So I thought, what a better way for us to.
So you're looking for another competition?
Mhm.
Okay.
So
By pounds or by bags?
Well, I'll figure the logistics out. I'm going to find out what they're in most need of too.
And where do you want to do this at?
Here.
I'm kidding. I'm just messing with the word. Put some legs on it.
Can we use the city's forklift?
All right, you guys are hijacking my
Oh, I'm
comment.
sorry.
I'll get more details and bring it later, but just if you guys would be interested in
In beating you at another competition? Sure.
Yep,
another.
all over that.
All right, it's on.
My planter box looks better and it was done first.
Stop.
We are not going to discuss the planner box because I'll tell people your business. So my thought is that people could donate, the public can donate, we can donate, anybody can donate, whatever dog food or whatever it ends up being, in the name of their favorite council member. So we all know who's going to win.
Oh.
Just putting that out there. So are you guys interested in doing something like that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Shaney, are you interested? All right, sweet. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. And I want to thank the peoples also for, like you said, about the BMX. And I also would like to let it be known that the NHC, the Natural Healing Center, they also funded the Christmas parade and the holiday stroll through the chamber. So, all of our cannabis people, they're actually, stepping up and helping out. I'd also like to thank Mr. Brown for showing up tonight
Yes.
and Mrs. Solis for her comment and Benjamin Kahikina and Mr. Reed. I appreciate you guys coming down and saying, hey. So with that, we are adjourned into, I'm sorry. Yeah, we are adjourned into closed session again. Thank you.
Thank you.